as well. Boom. Pow.
Am I late?
Yeah, you guys can hear us, but you can't see us right now.
That's rather unfortunate.
It's
Hello?
rather unfortunate. Unless you are just looking at the podcast through a service like Spotify.
Yo, where are the people at? Where?
What we're talking about.
Boom. Oh, we don't need that. No.
There we go.
Okay.
Is it working?
Oh, my bad, Kelly. You went on. Now you're on.
Oh, I'm blocking.
Say hello, Kelly.
No. No. Now I'm just sad.
Don't say hello then.
I won't.
Okay. Well, today is a great day because we're talking about video games.
I can talk about
What's going on,
video
guys?
games for hours.
Cruising the planet. We are talking today.
Brandon.
Topic is evolution of video games.
Brandon, I have a challenge for us.
What?
If we're talking about video games, right? I won't bring up Fire Emblem if you don't bring up
Look,
Destiny.
you can bring it up once. That's it.
well,
Once.
One spiel.
one,
Because you have to compare it to other games
Okay.
that are before it.
twice.
Look, if it's
One
too
for
much,
topic A, and
if
then
it's too
maybe for
much-
topic C.
if it's too much, just say shut up. All right.
Okay,
We can talk
vice
about
versa.
Too
You
much,
can-
yeah. No, that's
okay,
what I'm
cool.
saying. Like both
We're
of us.
making this deal.
Yeah. All right. Look.
You see that?
Yeah, it's shaking on it. All
They're
right.
This
shaking
is-
on it.
This is good. This is good.
Could you do me a favor, Brandon?
Yeah.
Could you somehow lift this up so we'll do?
No.
Oh, okay.
Wait, you want me to
Lift it up so we can see Kelly more.
Oh, that's not necessary.
There we go. Now we can see Kelly. There she is.
All right, bet.
Now let's have an awkward silence while we just look at Kelly through the
So-
camera.
Okay, we can stop now.
Honestly.
What was the first ever video game?
The first ever.
Pong.
What?
Pong.
Pong?
Pong.
Pong.
Wait,
Like the
wait,
one
wait,
on the
wait.
sides
How
with-
do you wait? How are you gonna start a wait? So, what's the first video game that was distributed to everyone,
Or just first ever video
or first
game?
ever video game?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the first ever video game. I'm pretty sure it was Pong.
It's actually a game, and it wasn't titled. It was kind of like tag. It was like Pong, but it was on. It wasn't really. It wasn't. I'm trying to explain it the best, and I don't know how to describe it in my
Was it
mind.
a lot of ones and zeros.
It wasn't distributed to like nobody. So nah, not ones and zeros. It was pretty much just a dot, and there's another dot, and you tag that dot. That dot turns a color, and then you're running around the screen as two dots trying to tag
Yeah.
each other. It's like tag.
That's cool. That's cool.
Okay.
But
So,
that was
but-
like the first ever video game
but
from what I've seen.
Technically, it is all just ones and zeros.
We
Did you know
love
that?
that binary code.
It's all just ones and zeros.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right on that. It is
Wait,
ones and
quiz
zeros.
question. Do either of you know the Konami code?
No.
Fake fans.
For what?
But yeah. Pong. Pong is
Pong was,
the
like, there.
original
It was,
OG
like-
video game.
That was the one that got like distributed on Atari.
Have you guys
Or
ever
was Atari
played
different?
like Atari?
No, Atari
games?
was different.
No, Pong is
Oh,
Atari.
man.
I'm pretty sure. But like, have you guys ever
actually
played
curious.
Atari games? Because like, dang, they're simple.
Atari games. Very
well,
simple.
Well, because the technology then was
Well, yeah.
very simple.
My dad used to have this thing, and it was basically like a console. It was a little Atari console. It was a box. It had the button and then the little joystick on top.
Yeah.
And if you plugged it into the computer, I'm talking like the red, yellow, white cords kind of thing, like that old school, like 2000s, middle of the 2000s, early 90s kind of, or late 90s kind of thing. You plug it into the computer, you got like 5 Atari games in that little box. It was like a home console, but
Oh
like
yeah,
Atari.
yeah. I know you're talking
It was
about.
wild.
So cool.
Had like the greatest hits or something like that.
Yeah.
Guys, think about this. We've out of billions of years Earth has existed. Video games have only been here since 1972.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's still like double my age.
That's crazy.
October 1958. He's a
Oh my
a
god, guys, we're
physicist,
coming up on the anniversary.
right? Physicist William Higginbotham was the one who invented Pong. Good for him, man. But I didn't know video games were long, I didn't know video games were here. I guess I just assumed they came in the 70s
Like, this
because
is-
of
this
like,
is a picture.
arcades and stuff like that. But
Picture of a Pong and an
Pong
arcade.
tabletop. Let me see it.
Oh, it's kind of ugly.
Yeah, it's very ugly.
Hey, back then that was one of the coolest things to ever.
Whoa, dude, guy's screening it, and you
Is
could
it?
play
No.
tennis on it.
I got really, really, really good at Pac-Man for a little while.
Pac-Man. Let's talk about what was that considered 8-bit,
8-bit, yeah.
8-bit, right?
Gotta love the 8-bit stuff. It's got a real sense of nostalgia.
It definitely does. After Pong, what would you consider Pong to be? 8-bit?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
8-bit. After Pong, you know, there was an exploding arcade, pretty much like arcade age.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Within like the 70s,
Yeah.
you know, you got Donkey Kong, got the original Mario Brothers. You know what that one's about, right?
No, for sure. I will say I'm less familiar with the arcade like golden age kind of thing of like the 70s and 80s. I'm more familiar with like going into games with like starting in the 90s with like the Nintendo Super Famicom, like the Nintendo 64, the Sega consoles, the start of like PlayStation 1 and 2 and a lot of the games that came out
home
then.
consoles. Like
Yeah, like the
owning your
well,
own.
I think the
kind of?
first home console was in like 1980 something, but like I'm talking like that era. I think it's like second or third gen of home consoles. There's like generations of home consoles, but like once it starts with like the Nintendo Super Famicom, that's when I'm interested. I won't tell you why because I don't want to use one of my 2 usages.
All right. That technically is one because
It's not. I'm not.
Super Famicom. Which one was that?
It's Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
All I remember was the original NES and the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. There's also the Nintendo 64 and then like the.
You don't
Super
know
Famicom.
this Nintendo?
I know 64, but I mean Super Nintendo came out before 64.
Yeah, they had a ton of consoles. Like they're probably the ones with like the fastest overturn for like any kind of consoles, because like they went from like the 64 to like the GameCube to the Wii to the DS to like the Switch, all in the span of like a couple years. Whereas like, how long did it take between the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One to the new one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the first video game console officially was called the Magnavox Odyssey. Mm-hmm. Do you know that?
It sounds familiar. I don't think I'd say that I like fully knew that, but it definitely sounds familiar.
Yeah, see, that's where I feel like we all lack is, you know, definitely the beginner stages of video games.
Yeah.
Just because it wasn't an extremely popular thing to play those games when they first came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really, really heavily stigmatized.
People didn't understand what a video game was. They didn't understand like.
And that's why the arcades were so great.
Fun with it.
Because then people, you know, got
Like
all these games
people.
came out. They got to play them at the arcades, and that was a big thing. All
With
people always going to
similar people
arcade.
around them, making friends.
Yeah, it's a social thing. And then so, you know, of course, one day people were like, man, what if I kind of want this at my house though?
Yeah.
So let's make a device and have games on. And you know, the first like real console that we really like, we just assume is like the Atari, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
It's kind of the first big one.
yeah, big one, right? But even on the Atari, it's interesting because I don't personally. I think I picked up the Atari before, and I don't personally remember a bunch of arcades games on the Atari.
No,
or wasn't the Atari a bunch of like original classics?
Atari was like
Atari
Pong,
classics.
Pong. There was, I remember, I have like
Dig or
an
something.
Dig Dug.
Dig
I
Dug.
have
That's
like
what
Dig
it
Dug.
is.
off-brand Atari that has a bunch of. It's Dig Dug is after that actually. So Dig Dug, that's from like 80s. Pong is like 74, 76.
Yeah. Good.
I just remember the 5 little ones that were on my the console I was talking about that my dad had earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
The
But like with me, it was literally straight 2D games like Pong. It was simple games like Pong. I remember
Yeah.
there was one. There was like almost like a soccer game. There was like two people. They would like
Yeah.
pass the ball, and
For sure.
I remember doing that.
I remember-
with that
I remember there was one
super simple
that
coding.
it's kind of like, if you guys know anything about like the Five Nights at Freddy's games and everything like that,
Yes.
the specific like mini games that happen.
Yeah,
I
those.
think it's in the second or third game. The ones that
All
has
of
you.
them.
Well, and I'm trying to
Those
use
has
this
the
as an
first one.
example really fast. I'm
Oh
trying
my
to-
fault. That's not what I was trying to say.
No, so like it's in the second or third game where you like walk through the different screens that make up like the whole map and everything like
the
that.
dungeon kind of.
Kinda, yeah.
Legend of
There
Zelda.
was one of the games on that Atari console that I keep bringing up that was kind of like that, where you had to like find keys and rescue
Yeah.
a princess from a castle. I have so many memories of that. I have no idea what it's called.
Yeah, but the thing is, none of those games were really like name games. Like the first 9 games on the Atari were like Sea Battle, Classic. What is it? basic math, blackjack,
Yeah, super,
combat,
super
like
simple.
super generic, like
Well, because
just
that's all they
games.
knew how to do.
But then to be honest, those games
And then
to now
technology.
standards are just like you can't. They're not replayable. They're like
And now that's like after that came along like Galaga, Legend of Zelda with the dungeon style.
Well,
I feel like-
that stuff's NES.
no, I'm talking about like arcade games.
Yeah.
Like
I will say
1980s.
my first real exposure to video games was it was either the PlayStation or the PlayStation 2 with Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
played
I remember that.
Game. Played that game a lot.
That was like my first real exposure to video games.
That's like 2000s,
yeah,
early 2000s.
yeah.
I
And
had-
it's
I had,
it's
like,
honestly
this-
wild to kind of think that series is still just going.
I don't know why, but like ever since I had my first memory, I remember having like this like educational video game console that my parents got me for little kids.
Was it like orange?
It was like white and purple.
It's
'Cause
a Super Nintendo.
No, there
No,
was
I'm talking
there was
about,
one
like,
that I played
was
that was like you
literally-
could buy it at Walmart.
It was literally meant for
It was like
kids.
orange, and it's like meant for kids. They have like
And
their own games.
There was like education.
Leapfrog.
Frog.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah.
Is that? Hold on.
Yeah,
Is that it? Is
Leapfrog.
that it?
It's gotta be. I can search it up real quick,
Yeah.
but
No, Leapfrog. That's not educational. That's like the Crossy Road type of game. Is that what you're talking about?
Nah, Leapfrog is educational.
Teach you how to leap.
No, you're talking about Frogger. Frogger's what you're thinking of.
Oh, that's right.
Leapfrog is like a company or a brand, my bad. A brand of video games for kids. But this is early 2000s stuff, dude. This is not really Leapfrog, I don't think. Let me see.
Now they have Leapfrog tablets and stuff. I'm like, bro, come on.
I will say something that I think is pretty interesting in the terms of like video game evolution, and these are two things that I have like a lot of knowledge on. So don't let me get too far down this path.
Yeah.
But you take a look at like long-standing series, and I'm gonna use two for an example right here. But Resident Evil and Silent Hill, which are two of like the crowning horror games, right? That's the one.
Wait, is this really like?
Pause on what I was saying. That's what I'm just talking about.
That's crazy.
What's it called?
V-Smile.
V-Smile.
Okay,
Wow.
but see, even
Yes.
that's like the early 2000s.
Hold
I feel like
on.
we've been talking about. Well, I've been stuck up on like the early for too long. Let's just skip into the
No, no, no,
90s.
no.
This is
Yes.
crazy.
So that's
Whoa.
what I'm getting at with
Yeah,
Resident
yeah.
Evil and Silent Hill, right? Because like you look at the first, it's the first 3 games plus I think Resident Evil 0 and then Code Veronica, which was supposed to be the third game and
Yeah.
for the Resident Evil series, and ended up getting swapped out for like a sequel title instead of being part of the original trilogy. And then the first 2 games for Silent Hill all had they were held back by the restrictions of like video game consoles in the 90s. I am talking like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, where they have these things called tank controls, which basically you can't like move your character and the camera at the same time, which when you're talking and comparing that against like games that are coming out like even this month is like a crazy conceptual difference, right?
Yeah.
So like you had to move and then plant and then you could move your camera and then you can shoot. But that's not even like all of it, because Resident Evil, those first couple games really focused on fixed camera angles. Silent Hill does that occasionally, but a lot of the times you had to move your camera and your character independently of each other, and you could only do one at a time. So it's those tank controls and everything like that. And then those series are still like ongoing, right? Well, Silent Hill ended a few years. They kind of stopped producing games, but they are about to release a remake of the second game. But like you see that these series are still ongoing. I think Resident Evil is a bit more of a clearer example of this, where you see it go from like a tank control kind of horror masterpiece, and then when the 4th game came out, it completely revolutionized gaming.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Because Resident Evil 4, like the original,
Oh, it's so
is
good.
the grandfather of like shooter games.
And so
like,
different
like
from the
over
original.
the person third person over the shoulder shooter type games.
Yeah.
It is the blueprint for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Everything that came out around that time, like a little bit after it, was like they were directly quoting that they were like influenced by Resident Evil 4. I think it's Dead Space. Don't quote me on this.
Dead Space.
It's another game like that, but it's like Dead Space. Like completely scrapped everything that they had for the development of the game up until that point and completely reworked it because they were so in awe of what they did with Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Resident Evil is Are you not finished with that thought? Keep
I'm
going.
not finished
My
with
bad.
that
Go
thought,
ahead. Go ahead.
right? So like the 5th and the 6th game, that middle trilogy kind of followed in the footsteps of Resident Evil 4. They are also generally considered to be kind of the worst of the franchise, so take this with a grain of salt. But they followed with that, and then they completely, once again, reinvented the wheel when they came out with Resident Evil 7 back in, 2017, 2018, with like the first person style of horror and everything like that. Like, Resident Evil kind of keeps going with this thing, and you can see very clearly the evolution of how games play in the series as it continues to go because it's been so long standing.
Yeah.
Love or hate those games, they're very indicative of the times that they came out.
Absolutely. I think Resident Evil is a great example of how you see the evolution of video game graphics, consoles, controls, all of that. You know, because the original PlayStation, which was, I'm pretty sure the original Resident Evil was out on. Which it was also
one or two, but I forget.
I think it was out on both actually, but I think it was originally on the first one, and that's why it looks and that's why
I think it would be really, really funny if right now you just pulled up a picture of Chris Redfield from Resident Evil 1, like not the remake that came out in 2015, the original Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And then, actually, no, don't do Chris Redfield. Do Jill Valentine a la Resident Evil 1, then do 5, and then do the 3 remake. I think it would be really funny to just kind of look at those and be like, okay, here's the first one. Here's like... Jill shows up in so many of those games. She looks different every single time. Every single time. She never looks consistent.
Remember the old Tomb Raider? How bad
Oh,
that
God.
was?
Oh, no. You're talking the triangle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pyramid. Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
You know what we're talking about, Travis?
oh, that's rough.
Yeah. So that's what it looked like in Resident Evil 1.
But like back in the
So-
day, those graphics were good.
Yeah.
Those were
But then, like, even with
HD
Resident Evil
4K
5,
back then.
like, it's not, like, that long of a difference between, like, when Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 5 came out. And even then, like, I think the biggest difference you can honestly see is from Resident Evil 5 to the 3 remake, because let me double check exactly the year that Resident Evil 5 came out, because I want to... Okay, so there is about 11 years of a difference between Resident Evil 5 and the Resident Evil 3 remake, which is, you know, like
dang.
the 3 remake is Jill, like her game and everything like that, you know, Nemesis, which in my opinion is still one of the better ones from the franchise, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We're not here to debate that. I could debate Resident Evil all day, but like Jill, like her evolution in the way that like the graphics even just like look different from her game to game, absolutely fascinating. Same thing with Claire. It's less pronounced with some of the male protagonists. I don't know why.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, Resident Evil is definitely a great example of the evolution of video games. If you look at every game, they all look different. Like they even had to change the play style, like you said. They even had to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great example of that. But, you know, previous to that, because I'd say that's like wouldn't that be like the late 90s with Resident Evil, or like
Yeah,
mid
around
90s?
I think it was like 96 or something. Let me double
Resident
check.
Evil.
I
But
wa- I
before
wanna-
that, you know, the early 90s, you know, we had the towards the end of the 90s, we also had the Super Nintendo. So while this was going on, we had the Super Nintendo. And do y'all know anything like all the
1996,
titles on
that's
that
right.
amazing console?
The Super Nintendo.
The Super Nintendo?
Yes,
Donkey Kong.
Yes, I'm aware.
I was a huge Super Nintendo kid.
Donkey Kong sprouted from Super Nintendo. Like Donkey Kong Country.
Oh yeah, for sure. Country
Dude.
was. I used to
That
play.
game was the original Mario.
The original Mario. No, not the original Mario. It's
Not the
Super Mario
original
World.
Yeah, Super Mario. That's yeah.
Can I
but
admit
the
something
original
to you guys?
Mario.
Yeah.
Still good.
I've never been a Mario kid.
Well, that's fair.
Never.
I'm gonna judge you.
Okay.
That's
That's
not
fair.
okay.
And you know, I knew. Did your parents ever talk about this? But even before Super Nintendo, there's the regular NES, like Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They came with like Duck Hunt, and then the original Super Mario.
My dad
Brothers.
goes on all the
Pac-Man.
time. Well, video games were like this when I was a kid. And I don't
Yeah.
understand why it's
Back
all
in
like
my
this.
day.
My, I think my first Nintendo game, like genuine first Nintendo game,
Pokemon.
was Pokemon.
Oh, nice.
It was
Oh,
specifically
really? I guessed.
it was specifically Diamond and Pearl. Well, I had played games on the Wii, but that's a little different, right? But
Yeah.
like
That's like
just-
late 2000s.
yeah, but like pure just like Nintendo game, because there's a lot of like non-Nintendo games on the Wii.
Yeah.
The first pure Nintendo like franchise that I played was Pokemon. It was Diamond and Pearl, and my parents just about threw a fit that I wanted to play. First of all, I had a sister who was 10 years older than me who was allowed to freely indulge in all the Pokemon fanaticism of the 90s and early 2000s before I had even been born, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But suddenly, I was like a little 6-year-old wanting to play Pokemon, and suddenly, oh, it's so violent.
It's so violent. It's like animals beating each other up.
And okay, can I share?
It does sound violent.
Can I share
It is.
a little story about Pokemon and why it makes me want to cry sometimes to think about?
What you mean?
Well, okay, so like my parents bought me a 3D, or not a 3DS, but like the original DS, and then they bought me Diamond, Pokemon Diamond, which was Gen 4, and I will always be a Gen 4 apologist. Gen 4 of Pokemon can do absolutely no wrong in my eyes. It houses some of the best Pokemon in the entirety of its conceptualization. Not the point. The point is, I was this close to beating the game. I was like in the end game, you know, the post story and everything like that. I was this close. I had been putting in so much work. I was a proud little 7-year-old of what I had been able to accomplish in that game. We had recently gotten a dog, a tiny little Jack Russell Terrier who we named Nina after the one female character in the Imagination Movers show on like Disney Junior or whatever it was. She was a puppy. She was a little
Nina.
rat. She was a little rat. I love her. I love her. Have you ever seen a Jack Russell Terrier? They are tiny, they shake, and they are mean. She chewed the gold plating off the back of my DS cartridge, and my game was ruined.
Congratulations, Nina.
I didn't get another Pokemon game until Alpha Ruby and Omega Sapphire came out when I was like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
In which case, my parents still refused to buy me any of those games because they're too violent. So my sister bought me the game and put it in a cheesecake box and gave me that for Christmas.
Good big sis moment. That's a
let's talk
great big
about-
She's
sis moment.
super into Pokemon, man.
See y'all
Talk
what
about
had happened
2007,
was-
man. That was the Wii. That was the iPhone. That year was a big year for humanity.
Early 2000s with consoles, you know, late 90s again, early
PlayStation,
2000s, that's
Xbox.
PlayStation, that's your Nintendo 64, that's your PlayStation 2.
Nintendo
You know-
64 came out like 96 or
Can
98 or
I
something
just
like that.
Yeah.
say, I still actively have a Wii and I still play it.
Yeah.
Every
backwards
once in a
compatible
while.
with the GameCube?
Yeah, it
Some
is.
of the GameCube games work on Wii, some of them don't. It just kind of depends. How did they ever get away with making the Wii remote the way it is? It's
Wow.
For
so
real.
not.
I love it.
It's
I love the Wii
awful.
remote.
It's awful. I hate it.
Yeah.
Well, they needed something that you can hold in your hand comfortably, pointing at the TV. And they did it.
It's awful.
the B
I
button on
hate
the
it.
back?
I hate it.
I
And
like-
you know what
I
I,
like the
hate more? The
nunchuck.
games that make you turn it on its side. I'm speaking from personal experience. Again, I'm not going to bring it up, but it's not a good game to play on the Wii. I'm going to say that.
Mario
they,
Kart.
They
Which
made,
one?
Doing Mario
I want you to look
Oh,
in the.
yeah.
I want you to look me in the eyes. And
I
take
know
a
what you're
guess.
talking about.
Yeah,
Some
they
game
made
named
two of
Emblem
them.
of Fire.
They made two of them. One for the GameCube, one for the Wii. They are awful to play on those consoles.
That's why you don't like the GameCube. That's why you don't like the GameCube. But like Super Mario Sunshine, bro, was a
Oh, yeah, that
crazy
game.
Mario game.
The only
Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Yes. The
only
Majora's
Mario
Mask
game
on
I
the
ever-
64, bro.
the only Mario
Majora's
game I
Mask.
ever really played was the original Super Paper Mario.
That's great on the Game
But
Boy
you,
too.
You need to be like Super Mario World. You need to play that at least once in your life.
No, I'm
it's,
just not.
It's a great
I'm
game.
just not into the Mario stuff.
But the RPG is
Hey,
cool,
that's
right?
great. You don't
the
have
RPG
to be into
aspect
it.
of it.
You don't have to be
Super
into it to
Paper
give it a
Mario.
try. You know what I mean?
Paper Mario is cool. A cool concept.
Paper
Cool.
Mario is really cool.
Yeah.
I like.
So
I had
fun.
a 3DS. So don't
No, that's a
can't forget about
different. That's the
handheld
bad.
consoles
That's the
I'm
like-
bad
sorry,
stage of Paper
Evil-
Mario.
What about Game
Evil
Boys?
Luigi, Mr.
We-
L was
we
so
totally
funny.
Game Boy
skipped
Advance,
the Game Boy.
Color.
Well, no. Oh,
the
okay. It's for the
DS.
Game Boy. So
I was like,
And this, we're going back and forth. This is like
No,
we
here's the
jumped
thing.
back into
2007,
the.
2006,
I am
2005
actively playing a game on a Game Boy Micro.
Nice.
as we
Micro.
speak. Yes, they're like this big.
micro.
They're like
I know
this
what you're talking
big.
about.
It's awful.
I
thought
know.
that was the
Is it
Game Boy no one bought.
Is it like this? Hold on.
That's like the Game Boy no one bought though, wasn't it?
Tinier.
Really?
No, it's like this
Smaller?
big.
No, it's literally like this
FL
is it.
Studio on the Game Boy.
Like
No way,
like
it's fake. It's
Randon,
gotta be
this-
fake.
Like Randon, this is the size of the Game Boy Micro.
Hey, but you guys totally.
It's like
Like super
it doesn't
tiny.
fold.
No, not
Oh,
no.
okay.
The micro is an advance though. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the micro version. And before
It's
that,
tiny.
you know, we had the regular Game Boy
Yeah.
and the Game Boy Color,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was the
What type of graphics card do you think Game Boys have?
Game Boy SP.
Don't. They don't.
CPU.
I've played the original Pokemon on a Game Boy Color.
Nice.
But we can't
It's
even
cool,
forget,
right?
We can't forget about
It's interesting.
I love
computer
it.
games.
That's like one of my favorite ways to play Pokemon.
The only thing about it is that my eyesight is literally just garbage, and I can't see anything happening on the
You want to
screen.
talk about first person shooter games like computer like 2000s like Quake, Doom.
Quake,
Call
Doom.
of Duty Modern Warfare.
No,
man.
no.
The-
Way before that.
Before that, like
Way
it's
before
not
that.
3D. It's 2D, but
This
it's
is
like
like
The
2D.
original,
The original
Doom
like,
is
Doom.
so
yeah.
bad.
I love it.
No,
what do you
Doom is-
mean?
no, it's
Doom is
good.
great. Wolfenstein.
No, like
Quake.
they're good concepts, they're good games, but God, those controls are so bad.
They are
It's
pretty
so-
bad.
They are bad.
But they're great.
Back then, that was like,
Revolutionary.
that was like the Destiny. Now, hey,
Yeah.
that doesn't count. I'm comparing it.
That's
I'm
why-
not talking about Destiny
No, I'm
yet.
kidding. I'm kidding.
That's like we're not even there.
No,
yet.
I know.
Yeah, those are great.
And then you get up to like Xbox 360, PlayStation 3.
Or Xbox Original, homie. Didn't
no,
even mention
no,
that.
no, but yeah, I did. I said that a little while ago.
Okay.
Some
Whenever we were
of
talking
those
about the Wii
games
and
that came out on
PlayStation.
the 360, it
I
makes me
think
think of like the
360 is-
current kind of like first person type
the-
games like Skyrim.
I think 360 is one of the best consoles ever made.
Skyrim was revolutionary,
Games.
man.
Skyrim's great.
That's why
Skyrim and like the changes started to
Black
mark
Ops 2,
because like
Modern
Oblivion kind
2.
of started it. I think Skyrim is Elder Scrolls 6, Oblivion is Elder Scrolls 5. I've played both. Oblivion is not very good. Don't play it.
I need to download.
But no, like the way those two games kind of just like changed a lot of people's perceptions about like how games should be. Honestly, kind of impressive.
And we can talk about
But then it also, led us to Fallout 3, which was
Awesome, man.
No.
that game was good.
What?
no.
That's
I
the
had
only
a friend
Fallout game I played
that
like
was-
almost fully.
Addicted to Fallout 3.
It's a great
He said the
game.
game was really good.
In Vegas too?
Okay,
Yeah,
New
Fallout
Vegas
Vegas.
is hands down the best Fallout
Fallout
game that they
4.
ever released, but 3 and 4 are kind of not good.
3
Compared
is
to
great,
76,
bro.
76 was really bad.
Okay,
76 is
76 doesn't
trash.
count. 76 isn't real.
Okay.
Technically,
can
it's
see
just
that.
really bad. Well, we can get into that conversation of why those games aren't real or bad. Is because of the companies who own the games. Back then they used to make the games, work on them, and release them fully made, done, completely done, and that's your game now. But now they release them unfinished. For an example, like Cyberpunk, when it released, it was terrible. It was so bad.
I feel like
And
that's
now
not
the game-
necessarily developers' fault, though.
Now the game is absolutely amazing, but a few years after its release,
That's not like I feel like a lot of like bigwigs at game companies now just aren't giving a lot of these developers enough time. Like they're on severe crunches. It's
Well,
kind of like an
because
overall
it's
issue.
because they want a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's all
it's
about
like-
money. Battle passes, like
Ugh.
Overwatch. Bro, Overwatch is really like downhill right now.
Yeah,
It's-
online
even though it's
changed
still one of the
everything. The internet.
Yeah.
Like the way that
Fortnite
games
changed
have
everything.
transitioned to like all of the because like okay, a good example of
Fortnite.
that I think because like a really long outstanding kind of like first person shooter game that was really really popular as like a multiplayer format, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I played that game. I've been playing that game since year 1. They're currently on like year 5 or 6 and everything like that. That game is radically different than it used to be. And the way that like developers are handling it all, super different. The way the game initially worked is that there were 20 base game operators and everything like that. They all had like special little cutscenes for when you bought them,
doing,
everything
bro?
like that. The game was relatively fine, but it started going on and they did the year 1 DLC for their operators. They were introducing 4 it was like 4 new kind of units and
Pay
then
to
two
win.
2 units from each kind of thing, and you could save up the in-game currency that you got for just playing the game to buy them. And you're like, yeah, it took a little while, but like it wasn't like undoable. Like you could do it relatively like fast if you were playing the game like they stopped doing that in year it was like towards the tail end of year 3 or 4 where instead of releasing 2 new ops at once, they were down to releasing only 1 op at once. And then during year 4 or 5, they started introducing battle passes and everything like that. And the game just does not feel very fun to play anymore. They completely like off through so much of the meta by introducing so many gadgets and like things that are just like
Ruin the game.
it's not fun to play anymore. The amount of
never
microtransactions that go into that game, they introduce so much cool cosmetics and everything like that. And yeah, they don't affect the game, but like I feel like if you're doing that kind of thing, you should offer players the opportunity to like earn them. Like, right? Like, maybe it takes a lot of work, but they can still earn them.
Yeah.
No.
But
if you want
Kelly-
any of the cosmetics,
but
you have to
Kelly-
pay real money.
But Kelly, they don't get money for doing that. They don't get money. So that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Look
that
me in
would
my
be
eyes and ask me if I care,
awesome
though.
If they could, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry, you guys, that you don't make enough money. So give us a bunch of skins that cost $20 instead of actually giving in-game content that we can play. You know what I mean?
I'm also gonna bring up Valorant for a real quick second here. The way that the cosmetics in that game work is kind of insane to me, right?
Every game is insane.
No. I feel like Valorant and Riot are some of the worst like offenders of this.
Oh, they did that with League
For
too.
example, right? Like you have a knife, like a combat knife that you can run around in, right? You get like at the start of every round, you get a knife and you get a classic gun. It's just a regular pistol and everything like that. If you want a different thing, like a different skin for your knife and everything like that,
Boom,
it costs $50
Yeah.
for a single one. That is the price of an entire game.
It's $50 for a skin.
But the game is free.
$50 for a single skin.
But the
flex.
game is free though. That's why they do that.
Yeah, I haven't bought a single skin for Valorant and
I
everything
haven't
like
either.
that. But like,
Did you know with
just even
PC Game Pass,
conceptually.
you get every operator for free?
Yeah.
And every legend in League of Legends for free?
Yeah.
That's the only good thing about PC Game Pass. I
No,
didn't
for
know.
sure. But like, conceptually, $50 for a skin is insane.
Yeah.
The only one that I feel like has ever gotten to a point where it was really understandable was when Overwatch did for Overwatch 1 that pink skin for Mercy, because like most of the proceeds
yeah.
went to breast cancer
Yeah,
research
that's
charity.
okay.
And it's like, okay, you're selling this skin for charity.
not
It's
for profit.
$30.
It's a cool concept.
That's
Not for
fine.
profit.
But like just $50 because Riot is like
I wish that we can have the
What?
same level of games that like that are released like back then, like how good the games were. Like for example, Legend of Zelda. I know you like Fire Emblem,
Fire Emblem.
Mario games.
Because they weren't worried about,
They
you
were-
know,
The
business
20s
decisions like
so-
that.
The 2010s Fire Emblem games are just leagues ahead.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
there are
It
so
was
much
the
care
peak.
put into those games.
We didn't know that was the peak at the time, but now it's like we look back and just like, dang.
I mean, there are
want
games
to
that are
go
coming
back,
out this year that are
experience that
really,
again.
really good and everything like that.
Yeah,
I feel
there
like
are good
I feel
games.
like Baldur's Gate 3, which just released last month, is
That's
getting
really good.
very much back into the heart of what a game should be.
Yes.
Like when you're paying
And developers are
$60.
hitting
And yeah, no, what is
I
it? There have
actually
been a couple
watched
like
a
like
video.
really big American developers that are attempting to like bring lawsuits against Larian Studios.
yeah,
And it's
actually,
like,
yeah.
oh no, how dare they release a game that's good quality and like
Yeah.
they actively are like making changes that players want, because like it's a fully character customizational kind of game, right? And so a lot of people were like, I mean the game is really good, I'm really enjoying it. If I had to make one critique, I wish there would be something that I could like alter my appearance midway through the game. And Larian listened, and in hot patch number I think 4 or 5 that just came out a few days ago, they added a thing in your main camp that you could go back and like change your character's appearance.
Yeah. It just takes
Like they're
communication.
listening to players, they're implementing changes, and I feel like that is something that was just lost.
That's rare. You saying that, I watched a video not too long ago, basically saying that these game developer companies with billions of dollars, like Riot, one literally where I saw earlier, it was like worth 1.2 billion. Bungie's worth $1 billion. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, and the norm used to be over giving too much content, quote unquote, used to be the norm. And developers, I watched a whole video about them saying like, yeah, we're trying to get the new norm to be underproducing, under developing, so
Yeah.
people will get used to that. So I'm just like, bro,
Jake
no.
is back.
It's not
It needs
cool.
to go back to what it was, because people are hating video games now because of the way they are. What do you think about modern video games, Jake? Are you you're a gamer. I know you got some stuff to say about this.
I don't know. It's like I feel like something was just lost in the creative process from like the late 2000s to like the 2010s. Like there used to be so much creative integrity, so much thought that was put into these games, and somewhere along in the 2010s, it kind of feels like that was like lost.
All right, listen,
a
I'm
little
going to
bit.
talk about
Yeah.
Destiny now. Just
Yeah,
for a little
go
bit.
for it. Go for it.
We got 5
Destiny-
minutes before we start playing the game.
Destiny 1 was one of the most creative games.
Oh my God, it was so
ever
good.
played, and it was amazing.
The way it shifted from like the not Crota's End, the Dark Below, like those 2 minor DLCs
King's
to the
Fall.
Taken
It
King
was-
one.
it's just-
The shift that
that
brought the
was
game was so
modern.
impressive.
That was like the best time of my life.
Yes.
And Destiny 2, genius idea, so cool. Graphics are amazing. The planets are so cool.
Terrible execution.
Terrible execution. So much money they made. $100 for this expansion that under delivered so much, and
I
everyone
can't
was so
tell you how much
mad.
money I was continuously sinking into Destiny 2 before I was
yeah.
like, I can't do this
love
anymore.
the game. I love the game.
I can't
I
be
really
paying
do, but I can't keep
$10
loving it.
every 3 months to continue playing the game.
Well,
on
that's where
top-
they get you. It's cheaper to pay $100 for the whole year to get everything, but no,
I'll tell them where they can stick their $100.
yeah, for real.
G2A.com.
Gosh, don't even start it with Overwatch too.
I don't know. I just feel like a lot of modern games have just okay, like Halo. I feel like in terms of like Bungie games, right?
Halo Infinite.
Halo and the original like series for Halo, absolutely.
Great.
Amazing.
Up
Like,
there with Destiny.
They have a reputation for that kind of thing for a reason. It's very popular for a reason, and so much of it was lost when they released Halo Infinite, which is the most recent one.
Halo
Like,
Infinite was bad at release, but now it's actually really good. I've been starting to play it.
true, but it's also
can't
very,
lie.
very indicative of kind of what we're getting at with like the
Exactly.
issues with modern games, where it's all just
Released unfinished, then fixed later.
released unfinished, pay to play kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just we just
Battle
lost
Pass,
something.
the cool new skin. You'll miss out if you don't get it. You can show all your friends. It doesn't matter.
Skins are
matter.
cool though.
Well, how about you spend that money on some stocks and shoot it to the moon? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, spend money on stocks and
Lose
not
that
have
too.
a cool skin.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't have a cool skin. if
Yeah.
you-
Is this the part
I
where
don't
I
know.
can bring up Fire Emblem for
I
a
did
second?
Destiny.
Okay, so
That's the last thing that we're gonna move on.
no, for sure. Okay, so like in terms of the 2000s era of the Fire Emblem games, there was the couple that came out on like the Nintendo or the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Color, Sacred Stones, Binding Blade, Blazing Blade, everything like that. They were the first ones released outside of Japan, so they didn't perform super well. So when the two that came out, the two new ones, there was a remake in 2008 and a remake in 2010. That only one of them was released in the US. This is a whole different thing I'm not trying to get at. There was one on the Game Boy and one on the Wii that released. They were the most underperforming of the entire series, right? Like, and they were like the new mainline games. And so Nintendo was like, okay, we're gonna kind of shut down the series because these aren't selling very well anymore because they just weren't selling well in the West. And so they were like, okay, we're gonna make this one game. We're gonna call it Awakening. It's gonna be like the last hurrah of the entire series. After that, we're gonna just shut down the series. It's not performing. So 2012, Awakening came out. Absolute masterpiece of a game. You can feel the love, the attention, the effort that was put into that game, and it single-handedly revived the series. They started, making new games. They came out with Fates in 2015, which was questionable. I don't think it's like
No,
that
after they
good.
said they would.
Yeah, no,
not-
it wasn't performing well, so they were like, okay, this is going to be the last one. And Awakening was so good that it revitalized the entire thing. It was supposed to be the last one. In
That's the problem.
2017, they remade the second game that had ever came out, and that one has at this point in time sold over 1 million copies, which Nintendo didn't expect because it was never released outside of Japan. It was the second one ever released. It was released in 1992. It was not very good back then. And then after that one came out, they did a spin-off Dynasty Warrior style thing, which also didn't do very well because it was not the same fan base who was talking about like who was playing those actual games. And in 2019, they released Three Houses, which had this point in time is the most popular one and the most sold from the entire franchise, but also one of the most divisive ones. The game feels kind of unfinished in a lot of parts, right? There's one of the
Release
four
now,
routes that
fix
just kind of
later.
ends really abruptly and there's no real conclusion to it. And it's kind of weird. But Engage came out earlier this year, which is the latest in the mainline titles. And
Is it bad?
no. What I'm getting at is that it's surprisingly good. People didn't expect Engage to be as good as it was.
They go
it
through
was
cycles.
It was supposed to be released in like 2020 or 2021 as like a 30th anniversary celebration game, which is why the game is so chock full of references, right? It has the main lords of most of the games exist as like gameplay mechanics in it. It's kind of strange to explain. But it came out very, very recently with an interview from one of the Intelligent Systems game developers that the game was like developed and kind of made alongside Three Houses. So like it'd been in development for years because Three Houses had been in development since like 2017, 2018. So like they had years to work on this game, and it was supposed to release in like 2021, and it didn't end up being released until 2023.
Probably because COVID.
Exactly because of COVID. So not Game Freak, that's Pokemon. Intelligent Systems had so much time to sit there and polish out the game. Like the animations are good, even if you hate the art style, which I kind of do. The animations are really good. The music is good. The characters are decently interesting-ish. Like it's a very well-made game. Like it's not my favorite of the Fire Emblem games, but it is a very, very structurally sound, very well-made game because they had the time. Like they weren't rushed in their development, and I feel like that is something that is missing from these games nowadays. Like it's good because they had the time. If they didn't, it probably wouldn't be as good, which is kind of what we've been talking about with like developers who are getting rushed and they don't have the time to do it. And I feel like if we just let people have time, we would get good games. That's
These
exactly
people
like
who
Baldur's Gate 3 too.
People who own these companies are like, make me money. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
like Baldur's Gate 3 was in development for like 5 years, and now it's everywhere.
Huge.
It's like
you make more
huge.
money waiting than telling me to make
People are
money.
willing to wait for good quality stuff, and I don't think a
We do
lot
have
of
to
these
move on
business
now.
owners understand that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
They'll learn one day.
Well, we are going to play. It's called Which Console. It looks amazing.
Hey, make sure you
we
sign
don't
in.
have a second monitor, so Jake, you can't see this.
haha.
Here, we can scoot over.
I can just believe in it. Believe in the screen.
We'll tell you what it is.
All right. Let's see this.
Okay.
Wait. Before, I guess, just like rules. I guess
Do we need points?
on the spot rules. We're just gonna do this collaboratively. We're not gonna do like
Okay.
a game.
Okay.
Jake, what is it?
Somebody open the door.
So what is this? What is this first console right here?
That's
Hold on, I'll be back.
Yeah. See what's up. See what's
That's-
up. We gotta
That's-
guess. We
That's
gotta
the
guess it.
original Game Boy.
that's
That
that's
is-
a Game Boy.
That is in fact the original Game Boy. Okay. I guess whoever says it, we're just gonna say, hey, you get a point because you
Go
said. it.
ahead, just give me all the points.
All right. What about this one?
Well, that's the
That's the
original PlayStation.
1.
I said it first.
She started and
Yeah, give her
finished
the point, give
first.
her the
Yeah, I
point.
think it's her. It's 1-1 right now. What about this one?
That's the Nintendo 64, isn't it?
Oh, it's
No.
kind of unfair though. You see,
Yeah.
how about you take Rain's seat since he's gone?
Yes, sir. I can see from here.
It's Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64?
Which one is it?
Either one. I said both of them first, so I win.
Pick one.
No,
That's
I
just-
said both.
Super
complete-
Nintendo.
That's not
Yeah,
how.
she's right. This is the Nintendo 64.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I said that
I don't know
first,
anything about
so
Nintendo.
I still get it.
Okay, what about this one?
That's the GameCube.
Yeah.
It is the GameCube.
Wait, the little GameCube logo thing.
Ding. Yeah, that exact thing. That exact thing.
I played Monkey Ball on that.
Dude, Monkey Ball is
Ooh, I love Super
crazy.
Monkey Ball that had a blitz.
That's a great title.
What were 2 and 3?
Two.
Nintendo
Well,
64.
let me guess this. Let me guess this.
It's PlayStation,
Yeah.
Nintendo 64. I have
Okay.
that. It's GameCube.
Okay. Now, the fifth one.
That's Atari.
No.
No, it's not
Is
Atari
that
because
the
it has a.
Is
Uh,
it the Sega
Dreamcast.
Genesis?
I
Yeah.
actually don't know.
That's the Sega
It
Genesis?
is the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, I don't know anything about old.
I
consoles.
had one of those until I want to say like 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I had one of these too. My dad did at least. These are hard to come by.
Yeah.
That
That's
work
not a bad guess though. High five for that one.
for sure.
Atari.
That's the Atari.
That's not-
There you go.
Atari.
Y'all know the Atari, huh?
Yeah, I have something that looks exactly like that. Xbox.
That's the original
360.
Xbox.
I have that.
Okay. Got a few
The
more.
best console ever made.
Got a few more.
Okay.
Super Nintendo.
That's-
There you go.
Sorry, I like
No,
that.
that- yeah.
I have that too. Xbox.
Original.
That's the
Xbox.
Xbox.
Yeah, on that.
Come on, you gotta make this harder, Trav.
All right.
Just kidding. I just know.
PlayStation
It's
2.
PlayStation.
Yeah, it's
I've got
Sega.
that exact one. That's-
Dang,
that's
y'all
the
just
Yeah,
guessed all of
no,
the
facts. I
I
didn't
still
realize they were
have a
that fake.
PlayStation 2 at my house.
See,
it was that
y'all
big.
actually know your facts. This is the fat version. You're right.
Yeah, the fat one is more desirable.
You can
'cause it has a
actually-
hard drive slot in the back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I
my brother gets these and he mods them and puts like loads them up with everything you
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
needed.
That's
you know what I
crazy.
mean?
My old job, I worked at an arcade, and I found that in one of the maintenance closets, just under some
is
stuff
that-
in the floor.
Oh, did you take it?
Yeah,
Oh, is
I
that
took
it?
Why do you keep going back and forth?
That's it, man.
That was it.
That was it, man.
Let's rank them. What was the best console? What do
Oh, you
think?
want to rank them?
360 is the best console of all
I
time.
agree, I
Out of
agree.
all of these,
I agree. Yeah. Either PlayStation 2 or 360.
Because I mean, that's like
Those two are like
That, like,
PlayStation 2 is a
brought-
classic. Honestly.
I disagree.
That, like-
I am going to go with the Nintendo 64.
And 64 is really good too. You can't really
But-
compare Nintendo to Xbox though.
All I'm gonna say is if we're talking best Nintendo console specifically, is always gonna be the 3DS.
I think the Wii.
I think that's a
What were
weak.
you
yeah,
saying?
we
That's
yeah.
Wii is good.
such a weak
Don't get me
console.
wrong, 3DS
compared
is
to
good.
The other consoles Nintendo came out with.
Wii
Kelly.
Wii is by far the best Nintendo
Come
console.
on, like Wii Sports,
No.
Wii Sports Resort.
Like I'm not even. I'm
We're not talking about
Nah.
the games. We're talking about
I'm
the
not- the
console in
console.
general.
How good the
I
console
stand by
was.
the
Yeah,
fact that the
Wii has
Wii remote
Call of
is
Duty.
single-handedly
Yeah,
the
it does
worst
have Call
game
of Duty.
controller ever.
I don't know.
said what?
That's a
I said
personal
I
opinion.
will stand by the fact that the Wii controller
a
is the
personal-
worst game controller
Yeah,
ever.
for sure.
I
It
like
is a
the
weird
Wii
controller.
It
controller.
was.
I like
it
it.
was revolutionary.
Wait,
It was
Wait,
revolutionary.
do y'all
Motion
remember?
control.
Wires,
Do y'all remember the Xbox
you
Kinect?
could see your little
The Kinect
hand
was
on the
trash.
It's not revolutionary.
TV. The Kinect was
Kinect's
an
pretty bad.
experiment.
Connect was terrible.
pretty
I
bad.
had one,
Especially
It
on
was
the
fun.
Xbox One where they said it was going to be on
Dude,
24/7.
You didn't play Just Dance on your Kinect, bro? Like,
I'm
That's the
not.
only
I never
game.
had a
I'm not a.
Kinect, so-
I'm not a Just Dance girly because or what is it? The Just Dance is the one with the Wii like controllers for the Kinect and everything.
they're on every
I
console.
I love Dance Dance Revolution. We actually, my family, we used to have the mats that would hook up to the PlayStation 2, and we would play
Nah.
Dance Dance Revolution in
Yeah.
our house.
Those
They had a
ones-
Super
I got
Mario one,
really,
too.
really good at Dance Dance Revolution.
Hell
They had
yeah.
a game called like Sing, and you would sing into a microphone into the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Was it good
It
though?
was like karaoke night. Yeah,
I played
a
Rampage a lot.
That was a great game. Don't
Was
sleep
that
on
cars?
Rampage. No, it's
No,
actually
like about monsters and stuff. It's
destroying
like, it's like
buildings.
it's like that, and then they have a side scroll fighting game like Mortal Kombat sort of where you can fight two different monsters, but then
no.
but you're also just like it's a side scroller, so you're like jumping on buildings and like
Oh,
grabbing
that's
people outside of the windows and like
That's-
eating them and like
What?
Yeah,
the-
it's a great game, and they
Never heard
had
of that.
multiple. They stopped making it, but
yeah.
I would love to see it come back.
The movie Rampage, the
Yeah,
one
that's
with
what it's based
the
off
one
of.
with the Rock in it, with
based
the
off the
big
video
giant
game.
white gorilla.
I'll have to look it up.
But that's what it was off of.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
pretty
it was
much.
kind of a bit off because the video games like that,
A lot.
everybody turned on the monsters from drinking soda,
Yeah,
and this one was just like a mutation thing.
Mhm.
So
yeah, it's kind of sad on that part.
yeah, that
Would've
would
been
have
better
That
if
would have been
someone
dope. Someone
drank-
drank
yeah.
some soda and like
Boom.
bust it out the side of the window.
Yeah. But with that being said, how about we talk about, which is you already pretty much said one, but like a hidden gem, a game that is not really super well known, but you love personally, and you feel like it might deserve more credit than people give it. Kelly's, what's up, Kel?
I have 3 answers.
3.
Give
Three.
you 2. Just kidding, 3. Just
'Kay.
Okay.
You can't. Okay, never mind.
Okay, so my first one, it's kind of infamous, but I feel like not enough people have heard of it for it to have the credit it deserves. Silent Hill PT.
Okay.
It was originally a demo, right, for a Silent Hill game, and they stopped, like they got rid of it, like it's not sold anymore, but it was a demo for the game, and it was single-handedly the best Silent Hill experience out of any of those games. Like I've played like the original trilogy, like hands down PT is, it outclasses everything else in the entire series, but it was supposed to be a demo, and then they ended up scrapping the game. The interesting part about PT is it was directly influential of what Resident Evil 7 would become, right? Like they were like, okay, they saw PT, and then the Resident Evil people over at Capcom, they were like, okay. And then they made Resident Evil 7, which is hands down probably the best Resident Evil game, in my opinion.
7.
All right, 7. Oh, I love
What was the next
Biohazard.
one?
My next one is anything that was kind of like the Japanese horror RPG style like games. I'm talking like Ib, Witch's House, Mad Father.
Never heard of any of those.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my god, they are amazing.
They're
They
hidden.
are creative, they are fun.
Can
they
you
have
buy
like
them on
really,
Steam?
I
Are they
think
hidden?
so. I think
They're
so.
hidden, but are they gems?
I like them. I think they're really good. They have really interesting characters, a lot of kind of interesting stories. Not to say that they're necessarily good, but really interesting to play through stories. The revelations, the jump scares and the puzzles are always like super fun. Just that kind of like early 2010s RPG style like horror games in the 8-bit kind of style. Love them. All of them are amazing. I'm talking, but like the ones that really do come to mind are Ib, Witch's House, and Mad Father. They're all just really fun games. My third is exactly what you expect it to be.
Fire Emblem.
Fire
is the
Emblem.
emblem
Technically,
on
this
fire?
is a two-part answer. It's the Tellius saga of the two games. So they are two of the only Fire Emblem games that are directly like one of them is a sequel to the other one. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. If you guys play Smash, you'll know who Ike is. Ike is the main character of the first one, and then the Dutra protagonist of the second one. Those games are single-handedly the least sold of any of the Fire Emblem games because Fire Emblem is not a game that should have ever been released on the Wii. It is miserable to play on the Wii.
But it's on the Wii.
I like that it's on the Wii.
I played the first one, Path of Radiance, through totally legal means. Did not do anything illegal to play that one. But I have an actual physical copy of the second one, Radiant Dawn.
Pirated.
It's called emulation. But it is
But where'd you acquire
absolutely
the ROM?
miserable to play on the Wii. But the games are really.
I think you're just a hater.
I am kind of a hater
Wow.
at heart. Yeah.
I love
The games are really good. They have
Wii is
like
goated.
one of the most realized world buildings of any of the Fire Emblem games. They have some of the best cast of characters. Ike and Micaiah are both fascinating protagonists, and unlike anything the series had done before,
Smash Bros. Damn.
they
That's
are unlike
ridiculous.
anything the series had done before or has continued to do after them. Like one of the protagonists of Three Houses, Edelgard, they tried to kind of do Micaiah again, but they failed because they failed to really understand what Micaiah, who she was as a character. They
Look,
are
I don't
unreal.
think any of us know who you're talking
I
about.
know that.
I
I'm just
wish-
saying main
No
characters.
clue.
The stories delve into really interesting kind of themes that deal with a lot of racism, honestly, because there's like two because like humans don't really exist in Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. They're not human, right? Even though they look human, they're all called Legus or Bjork, and they're two different kinds of things. Like it has, I don't know, the lore of it all is just really good. They play some of the best, like it's some of the best gameplay the franchise has ever had to offer. I feel like it is peak what Fire Emblem could be, and they have continued to ignore what those two games brought to the table because they sold so poorly.
Yeah. Travis, do you have any?
Huh.
What's your hidden gem?
My hidden gem was definitely Conker's Bad Fur Day. I'm not sure if you know that one.
What game?
You know that one?
Congress? Bad?
Conker's Bad Fur Day. You play as a squirrel.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's like, it's an adult game.
Yeah, it's an adult.
Oh, I know what you're talking
I
about.
think
It's a great game.
Like a double X game.
I played that
shit.
game at least 3 times and
How
beat
old
it.
were you?
I was like 10,
10.
11, 12.
No, dude.
That game is not for 10-year-olds.
Oh,
not.
Travis.
There's a scene where like there's a poo-poo man and you have to
gosh.
throw toilet paper at him to get him to like absorb and die down. And you go to the military. And there's like a lot of it. There's actually, it talks about like, it pretty much emulates D-Day in like a really bad way.
Oh my god.
But I didn't know that as a kid, you know. I was just
Yeah.
playing the game.
Who let
But-
you play that game?
My
Nobody used
dad's
to.
a friend.
Oh no.
I'd watch him, and then when he wasn't on the game, I beat my brother on the game. We were playing that. We were supposed to, but we know what we was doing, man. Yeah, that's definitely my gym. What about you? Brandon?
I was kidding. I'm gonna say Paladins.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
great.
yeah,
that's a
no,
great
that's a
hidden
good
gem.
one.
Dude, I love Paladins.
It's
bro.
unironically
I
kind
hate
of
Overwatch
good.
now, so
I
love
can't play Overwatch anymore. Paladins kind of ruined it for me.
Dude, Paladins just
It's just
it's literally
imagine
it's
imagine a
literally
first-person
League of
multiplayer
Legends.
like PvP game in
We
which
should all
playing
play
support
sometime.
is actually fun.
No, thank you.
What?
League of Legends and Overwatch
Bro.
combined.
Wait,
I
who do you
hate
main? Who
those
do you main?
games.
You don't
High
like
res,
hero
like high res
shooters?
studios.
I don't like. I mean, I played Overwatch, but who really plays Overwatch and actually likes Overwatch?
Dude,
My
I've
friend
been playing-
Aaron,
Dude,
but
you
he's
should
kind
see
of
my
insane, so
hours
he
in
doesn't
the- I
count.
don't think you want to see my
I don't
hours.
like Overwatch. I don't like League of Legends.
play
I don't
Paladins,
like
though.
any of those games.
like hero shooter kind of. Yeah, are you more of like a Call of Duty type of?
I mean, I play Call of Duty, but I mean, Call of Duty kind of
What's-
fell
you
off.
like
So.
more?
Which
What's
of the
your-
series?
What's your hidden
Yeah.
gem?
Yeah, what's your hidden gem?
like,
My
if you're
hidden
the-
gem
My Little Ponies.
is probably Smuggler's Run from Rockstar.
You know a
Okay.
good
On the
amount about
PS2.
games.
Wait. Okay, question though. Back
Warriors
to Call of
too?
Duty. If
The
you
Warriors?
had to pick a Call of Duty game,
Gonna-
which one would you pick?
Black Ops 2.
I didn't play Black Ops 2 that much. Probably.
Modern Warfare 2.
Smoking crack. You ain't playing like
I think about
I
the
put-
airport scene from Modern Warfare 2
The game
all the
that
time.
I played the most out of the Call of Duty games is probably Black Ops 1. So
Yeah,
probably
fair.
Black Ops
That's
1.
fair.
'Cause I didn't have online anything
Like
until
zombies.
I was in 7th grade.
Do you
so.
like PvP or PvE more?
I don't know. I'm not very good at PvP, so
Yeah.
We've all
I mean,
been.
I try to play
Bro,
it.
that's why I like Destiny so much. It's PvP.
Yeah, like you don't have to if you don't want.
Yeah.
I'm decent at Destiny, so
Yeah,
I'm pretty good
Destiny's
at Destiny. I just
especially
gave
if
up
you have a
on
good
it.
Build. Bro, I gotta show you some of my builds, bro. They're crazy. Anyway.
Dude, I had a at one point when it first came out, I got a master range max a masterworked max range blast furnace when it first came out.
Yeah.
Do you understand how broken that was in PvP? Absolutely insane.
Very much so.
Anyways, can I add one more answer?
Okay, Miss Five answer.
4, excuse you. The Pokemon Ranger
See, y'all,
games.
what had happened was
The Pokemon Ranger games.
Oh yeah, that was a great.
Those were
Those
fire.
were great. I'm not gonna lie
Are
to you.
those the fighting Pokemon?
No, that's
That's
the one where you had to like you were a ranger, so you had to use the little like spin top thing and like draw the circles around
Yeah.
them to like convince them. There was also the Pokemon like
those
mystery
pet
like dungeon
games.
games where you played as a Pokemon.
That one was great too. I
Those
like
ones were fun.
Hey You Pikachu on Nintendo 64.
Oh, I got one more. It's not hidden, but the Knights of the Old Republic games.
I don't think. Well, I
I
don't
don't know
Those
about
are
that one.
goated.
Knights of the Old Republic.
That's a
It's Star Wars.
thing,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh yeah, for like the original Xbox.
That's okay.
Oh, you play as like all the different characters,
Bro, did you
Stormtrooper.
ever play The Force Unleashed?
Crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I played that one.
Yeah, like those two.
That was way better though.
Yeah.
What about like Tony Hawk games, like skateboarding games?
Yeah,
Those are
I played
crazy
Skate 3 a
fun.
lot.
You played those?
I played the
Tony Hawk
crap
games.
out
I
of
get it.
Skate
Yeah,
Super fun.
yeah.
But anyways, guys.
Oh, SSX Tricky.
3. Oh my!
Oh,
No dude, I forgot about that one. Dude, that was my favorite.
Tricky to
PlayStation
Rocco
2.
Rhyme to Rocco
Dude,
Rhyme.
and then the
That
guy,
was a great game.
The guy that would like do the snowboard around his neck. Remember that?
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. dude,
Those
that
games
game
are
was-
so
I need
fun,
to
man.
emulate that on my PC. That'd
Dude,
be
did
dope.
you guys-
should.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Did
You
you
gotta
guys
show
ever
me
play
how.
You can
the
get
original
any game you
Outlast?
want on your
Yeah.
PC.
You gotta show me how.
I will.
You
What do
should-
you What do you use? Well, we can't talk about that right now. On
Well,
What did
we'll
you
talk about
guys? Did you guys ever play the original Outlast?
it. No.
I
Yes,
tried.
that's the
Dude,
one
I'm
I
not good at-
played.
I'm terrified of those games, bro.
Outlast
I have
was
it. I
such
don't
a
want to play
great
it.
game.
Space one, right?
No, Outlast is the one like the
in the
insane
mental
asylum.
hospital, yeah.
Such a great game.
I think are you
With
talking
all,
about,
like,
are
the
you talking about
mutated
Dead
people.
Space?
Yeah,
Dead Space.
That's what,
That game is so great. The first out, bro, I was scared.
That game is
actually,
terrifying.
hidden gem, Soma. It was from the creators
Oh,
of Amnesia.
that's the underwater.
No,
Yeah. It's
no,
like
Soma.
yeah, you're underwater, and then like with the people who got infused into the robots. Yeah,
I
that's
think you
Soma.
just spoiled the game
No, I
for
didn't.
me.
No,
No, I didn't know.
like
you
in
were
the
underwater.
you do that. Yeah, you're underwater. You just gotta look
What?
around. You're like in under like there's underwater stations.
Are you talking about Bioshock?
It's the same. It's like almost the same exact thing as Bioshock. but, like,
Subnautica?
present time.
What you laughing at?
I think you.
I didn't ruin the game. You find out like at the very beginning.
She hasn't gotten past the beginner stage. She's been looking
No,
around.
I have.
I
I
have-
just never noticed.
Yeah, you just gotta.
underwater.
Yeah, you're in like these underwater because like the world got. I won't go any further, but you're underwater.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, there you have, folks. You're underwater,
Spoiled.
spoiled.
I just
Prey.
wasn't spoil. I never beat the game, so how could I
Prey.
spoil if I never beat it?
Prey is
spoiled.
also really good.
Prey
I don't like
sounds
Prey.
very
20
familiar.
2016.
Crisis 1, 2, and 3.
Ooh, you'll see.
I like Crisis 3.
No,
I never played the other two, but
Prey-
I used
Oh,
Crisis
Flappy
3 to
Bird.
test out graphics cards.
Flappy
Prey.
Bird.
Really?
There's like the
Flappy
shapeshifter
Bird.
mimic things. You like put the little needles into your eyes to get like upgrades. You're in space.
Whoa,
That
that
was a
sounds
good
fun
one.
though.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Blink.
Yeah.
This game
Did y'all
ever
ever
made
play
was Fort-
Brink
Fortnite.
That was great. I love that game. I don't know why. I just loved it.
Fortnite.
or
We
the
like
DC
Fortnite,
DC multiplayer game?
Oh yeah.
where,
You-
not
The
DC
Legends
Universe.
one?
No,
Injustice?
Marvel.
No, it's where you play it. It's like the goons. Like you can play as like
Ew.
Joker looking dudes or like Batman looking dudes, and you fight.
Oh, that was an online game. I hated that game. It was like kind of like a MMO.
I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Was it like
No,
a
that's
fight?
DC Universe
Okay.
Online.
Was it like a fighter game?
No, it was like a shooter. It was like
Oh.
third person.
Oh.
It was like the
play
Marvel one. Do you remember Marvel came out like a long time ago? Had like all these different heroes you could be.
Marvel Alliance.
Yeah.
That one was
Don't
good.
play with the like Silver Edition or whatever. They had like different editions and stuff.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Marvel Alliance, man. Anyways, we have reached our point in time where we need to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for
Fortnite.
watching.
No one mentioned
Um,
Fortnite at all.
Nah.
Good.
Fortnite was the grandfather. of
Fortnite is
podcasts.
probably going to be ranked in the top games of all time.
Yeah. think
I hate that.
Well, thank you guys
That
for
fills me
watching.
with
And
an
I'm here for
indiscriminate
it.
rage.
Yeah, we-
Why?
Catch you next
guys.
Wednesday at 1:30
I love you
p.m.
all.
Follow us on our social medias because my boy Jake over here is going to be taking advantage of that. And it is the Planet 100.7. So make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. We'll see you next week at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Let's have a good one.
Bye,
And, yeah.
guys.
Oh, shoot. Music. Ready?
Top one, top
Bump,
top games of all
bump,
time? Like,
bump,
really?
bump,
Really?
bump.
It's not me.